Alright, I'm gonna explain how to develop a workout addiction, which is the easiest way to get jacked. So there's gonna be 3 steps. And the first is to be in intense pain and emotional suffering surrounding your body and the way your physique looks. That's gonna be the big first step that almost everyone you see who has a big physique transformation or weight loss journey, that's where they start. It's gonna be a big moment where they look at themselves in the mirror or they wear a certain piece of clothing and it just triggers something. So much pain, so much suffering that they have to do it. They have to do something about it. That's how the body works. If you put your hand on a hot stove, you take your hand away. And the more painful something is, the more motivation you have to get away from it. So stop coping, stop deluding yourself. If you're skinny, accept it. You're skinny, you need to gain weight. If you're fat, accept it. You're fat, you need to lose weight. Don't hide from the pain. Don't try to cope. Don't try to say, no, I'm kind of close, I'm doing all right. No, you're just in a bad spot and you need to really change something. That's the first thing, because without pain, it's really just not gonna happen for you. The second thing is most people, when they feel bad, some kind of like negative or neurotic emotion, they'll do something like play video games or scroll TikTok, because it's kind of like the most natural, the most easy thing. And I think most people kind of start out there. So the problem with that is that you're taking that energy from the negative emotion and it's not going anywhere. Nothing's happening. It's just getting used to some kind of stupid end that doesn't actually help your life or improve your life in any way. So what you want to do is slowly get rid of those addictions and replace them with working out. So if you feel bad, so you're having a bad day at work or class or whatever you do, and something just goes bad, something feels terrible, and you're like, this sucks. And normally you would maybe scroll TikTok or Instagram Reels or something like that. Instead of that, go to the gym. Go to the gym. Put on your shoes, listen to music, and just go to the gym. That's the best way to start swapping out that addiction and that need for comfort with the endorphins of lifting, of music, of progressing, making progress. Obviously by now you can probably tell I'm not telling you like eat healthy and fucking sleep, right? It's just like, it's ridiculous. Obviously that's gonna be the actions you need to take, but the mindset and the advice you need is not exactly gonna be conventional. Well, if you're not okay with that, then you can stay exactly where you are. So the only way to get rid of those addictions really is to do them one at a time. So I've tried for many years multiple things for getting rid of addictions, pretty much everything you could think of, well, aside from like drugs and stuff like that. And I've tried cold turkey for everything. I've tried doing them somewhat slowly, and the only way to actually do it that actually works for people is you make a list of your addictions. Let's say you smoke weed and you eat sugar and you scroll TikTok. Okay, let's just say, for example. What you're gonna do is every 30 days, you get rid of one. You try to fight one impulse at a time. You don't try to fight all of them, you try to fight one of them. Because if you try to fight all of them, it's just too much. Your dopamine system gets completely screwed and your body just takes you right back into all of them. So you choose one. It doesn't have to be the most detrimental one. It can be just something. The order I would recommend going, by the way: sugar, alcohol, video games, pornography, and then social media, in that order. So we're trying to swap these addictions for a workout addiction, so it'll be important. Okay, so sugar is important because it messes with your mental state. So I don't know if you've noticed this, but people call it like a sugar crash or something. But it'll make you feel weird and like have these weird cravings, and it makes you kind of like, it's hard to describe it. Your mind is a lot less clear, you're less focused, and obviously we know sugar is bad for you too, but it's also like not super hard. So if you're kind of getting into this, it's like a good start. Alcohol is obviously terrible for muscle growth. It pretty much like stunts your muscle growth, and it's basically it has like a very long half-life. So if you drink on Friday, you're not going to be like optimal until, or like back to normal, even you wouldn't even really be back to normal by this time, but maybe 3 or 4 days, maybe Monday, Tuesday, until you're like feeling better again, good. Video games, it basically makes you think you're progressing, but you're not progressing. It's kind of like you're coping by not progressing in life, by progressing in real life. It basically takes your masculine drive to progress, to succeed, and it puts it into like a virtual world. So your real life just gets worse and worse. And then pornography is pretty terrible for your dopaminergic system. It's very similar to opiates in the receptors it targets, and even the effects it has. So basically, it's extremely addicting, and it makes everything else in your life less enjoyable. It also ruins your relationships, and it makes you have less of a drive. So similar to how video games take your drive of progress and put it into the virtual world, pornography takes your drive for women and sex and puts it into the virtual world, which you don't want. That's one of life's two biggest drivers, and if you're doing both of those things, it's gonna be rough. Let's just say. There's also a reason that you see almost every transformation also that you might see online is like, I used to be a gamer, I used to be a video gamer, and then I quit, and then I started lifting. It's like a very sequential process for taking that drive for progress. Because a lot of gamers, like I don't know if you used to be a gamer, but a lot of people in this kind of category have like a really insatiable need to progress, which would make them really, really, really good at life and improving in life, in skills, in their physique, in a business, job, whatever they're doing. But they're just putting it somewhere stupid. And so if you stop that, it has to go somewhere. Final thing is social media, particularly short form, and I would say, long form potentially. So that's basically like long form YouTube, or like, I think long form YouTube is somewhat fine, but it depends on like how you're using it, I would say. But yeah, definitely short form in my opinion, because it messes with your emotional state and it makes you somewhat numb. So the other things in your life become less enjoyable. You have less dopamine, to enjoy them, obviously, but also the emotions that you experience on short form platforms make it so that anything else in your life just feels really dull and it feels really flat in comparison. So yeah, so anyways, that might take you a few months, and if it's feeling like one impulse is still there, then you would want to stop, stop progressing and keep on that one. So you could go up to like 2 or 3 months on each one. If, for example, sugar is really hard for you, you have something like it's really difficult, you could take longer there. Okay, so the third step is to get addicted to the feeling of progress. So especially with the video game one, but just in general, it's really the first 15 pounds or so that you will get addicted to lifting. Because once you get those, it could even be 5 pounds, but really like when you get those first 15 pounds, maybe you lose the first 15 pounds or you gain the first 15 pounds of muscle, it's kind of like you'll never feel that good doing anything else. Like even if you were to do all of your bad habits, you'd never really feel that same way again. And so it's always going to be there, and it's always going to be in the back of your head of like, that one time I felt really good and I have to do that again. And that's extremely important. So as a second step in that, like getting addicted to lifting, is making it addicting in and of itself. So like music, if there's some kind of music that you like, that pairs really well with like pushing yourself and exerting yourself in the gym, do that. Getting like gym clothes that you like or you find enjoyable, things like that, just to make it like enjoyable to go to the gym. And if you're doing diet, make it enjoyable as well. If you're, as much as you can, obviously. But yeah, diet is a whole nother story. Hope that was helpful. That is the process that you use in order to get a workout addiction. So use it at your own risk. I would say it's one of the best, probably maybe second best addictions that you could have. So yeah, hope that works for you, and have a good one. Peace.